Howdy, and welcome to our Friday Focus. We are here at Kyle Field, along with the All-American Dave Elmendorf, Will Johnson. I'm Andrew Monaco. As the Fighting Texas Aggies take on the 8th-ranked LSU Tigers, that will be Saturday, 6:30 kick. We'll be with you 5:30 with our pregame show along the Aggie Radio Network. Dave, here we go. We started this at the end of August against Northwestern State, and I feel like we've built to this moment. This Aggie team has grown all season long for this matchup with LSU.
Certainly great progression, and the 6th-ranked team of the season. LSU comes in here, and we haven't beaten them yet in our SEC play, and they're a good football team. But I like the Aggies' chances. I really do. I think the Aggies will play them well.
Since they came home, the win over Ole Miss, the win over UAB, and this offense really seems to be clicking against a really, really good LSU defense.
Well, they're outstanding. They're giant up front. They go as big as 360 up front. They've got an All-American linebacker in White, Devin White, and he's really good. And he's not their middle linebacker. Their middle linebacker is extremely good too. They're great in the secondary. Their safety leads the SEC in interceptions with 5. So, they're a very, very good defensive team. They're giving up only 16 points a game.
Stay with us. We might talk turnovers with this guy in just a little bit, along with Will Johnson. And you've had a chance to, really it's almost been like an overarching storyline throughout much of this season for the Aggies. What's at stake tomorrow?
Oh, I think the biggest thing is momentum. You've built it in the last 2 games with wins. It can explode if you beat LSU, and then you could take that into a bowl game. You win there, and then it pushes into year 2 prep in the Jimbo Fisher era. And you know what? Recruits like momentum too. Yeah. Son, Jimbo Fisher's thinking about that every day. As we build up to this one, it just has a big game feel. Sure the Aggies can get over the LSU hump. They can get over the questions about how they finish seasons. And I think there's an intangible out there for A&M. Maybe a New Year's Day game is on the line here. I think if the Aggies win, the Outback Bowl on January 1st really comes into play, and I like the Aggies in that slot if they're victorious. Hadn't been to Florida for a bowl game yet as a member of the SEC. And, when you hear Outback, Citrus, Gator, those are marquee SEC bowl games. Yep. A&M hadn't been to that state for the postseason yet. I think that carrot is out there for the Aggies. New Year's Day could be on the line for A&M tomorrow night.
This team has been very good in this place against ranked opponents. It makes what Kyle so special. And you said big game feel, and the fans add all to that, don't they?
Well, the only loss is Clemson.
Right.
And quite frankly, in the second half of that game, the Aggies were just better than Clemson, who was pretty much going to be in the college football playoff unless they stumble these last 2 weeks. Nobody foresees that. But A&M's been better than everybody, and, one of the best teams in the country in this building. The build-up to that Clemson game feels like this one. Yeah. That was a different set of Tigers, but this is a top 10 Tigers too, and that build-up feels the same. But like Dave said, I like A&M's chances in this one. I think they match up well with LSU. There's every reason for them to be confident this is the year they break that streak.
Dave, I'm going to start with you on this. I know last week was senior night, but this will be the last time for the seniors. And to have a rivalry, boy, you can't get more amped up for this one, A&M and LSU, especially for those guys who have spent some of them 4, some of them 5 years here at Aggieland.
Relatively young team, only 17 seniors, and this senior group has never beaten LSU. So I guess the question is it a rivalry?
Jimbo says yes.
Certainly there's history there. They recruit the same players. But Jimbo said at the press conference, he said, for it to be a rivalry, you have to have wins on both sides. And that's what he said. We've fallen down on our side of that. Yeah. So that's what we're hoping, is that we can make this a bigger rivalry with a big win tomorrow night.
That would be terrific. And for these seniors who have bought into Jimbo Fisher and this entire coaching staff, laying that foundation, man, would this be a big part of the foundation for, as you talk about, going into year 2 and beyond for A&M?
Yeah, we started this season, and I told you guys the guy I'm thinking about is Donovan Wilson.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking about him right here too. Louisianan, senior. But for all of them, man, they want to get over this hump. We were talking to Connor Landfear the other day. A lot of these guys wrote down goals before the year, and he mentioned we want to beat Bama and LSU. Well, they didn't get the Bama part done, but they've got the shot at LSU. And to that question, if it's not a rivalry yet, it needs to become one tomorrow night to these guys. They need to start taking it personal. LSU has won the game these past years because they've gotten more physical in the trenches with the Aggies. They've kind of bullied them at the line of scrimmage. Cannot happen tomorrow night. Take it personal. Make it a rivalry. get right in there in the trenches, get in their face, and make it a physical contest.
And what happens if this team wins the turnover battle? Oh, we saw that last Saturday against
Wow.
UAB.
Yeah, we won it by +2. Got 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and of course the recovered fumble in the end zone on the opening kickoff, which was huge in that game. So +2, that still leaves us at -8. But this LSU team, they've got 16 interceptions.
Yeah.
They're +12. That leads the SEC. Boy, they're a great defensive club. It's going to my mind, it's going to be a low-scoring battle,
right,
and the Aggies are going to have to be at their very best to pull off a victory.
Will, I go back to what Jimbo was saying in the summer during all his coaches' nights throughout. It's the guys with the hands in the dirt really will decide this one, won't it?
It will. I mean, LSU, they want to run at you, but the Aggies' defensive front so good at stopping the run. But the Aggies are going to have a hard time throwing into that LSU secondary. But Jimbo said this too. Well, the guys are going to rush Kellen Mond. They're pretty much first-rounders too. It's not like just the secondary, so that makes it harder. We say this so often, but this is an SEC West game.
Correct.
I don't see a lot of points on the board tomorrow night.
No, I don't either.
Both teams hunker down pretty good in the red zone. Neither team has scored a lot of touchdowns in the red zone. You might see some field goals. Special teams play going to matter. Field position. Yeah. You got to make your kick, score your points when you can. Those defensive fronts in the trenches for both teams, they're not going to allow a whole lot tomorrow night.
This one's going to be fun.
Well, in a ball game like this, we kid about this a lot. What really probably will decide it is the turnover battle.
Exactly
I
right.
mean, it's in a tight game like this one should be. Turnovers are going to be critical.
Look forward to this one. We hope to see you here in Kyle Field. If not, join us 5:30 with our pregame show, 6:30 to kick, all along the Aggie Radio Network. This has been the Friday Focus. For Dave and Will, I'm Andrew. Thanks and gig 'em.